Susano, let them know what we're talking about today.
All right, so for today, what we have for you is, it's fairly, it's a new story, but an old story. Happened not too long ago, a couple months ago, actually, November, December,
Yeah.
around that time period. The missing the missing tennis player from China by the name of, well, I might butcher it. I want to say Shuai Peng,
That's as good as
if
it's
I
gonna get
remember
for us.
correctly. Yeah, I mean, if you know the proper pronunciation, let us know in the comments. For now, we will refer to her as Ms. Peng. Yeah, so apparently, as the story goes, Ms. Peng accused of high-ranking official in the Communist Party of sexually assaulting her. And her original story goes that I guess one day she was invited by this said official. I believe it was, I don't know how to pronounce his name also, but it's Gao Li. Um, yeah, so he and his wife asked Ms. Peng to accompany them to play some tennis. She did. They played a couple rounds, I want to say, a couple matches, I want to say. And then at some point, they ended up going back to the house of the high-ranking official, Mr. Gao Li. There, he proceeded to coerce Ms. Peng into sex. And, again, this is all based on her original statements, her original
Her
reports.
accounts.
She then says, yeah, she says that, she was crying the entire time the sexual assault happened. She did mention that I believe 10 years prior, she actually had a consensual sex with I believe with the same said person, from what I've read, the high ranking official, Gali. But, just because she consented that first time 10 years ago does not mean she's going to consent 10 years later. So, but apparently after these allegations popped up on the Chinese version of what I believe is Facebook or Twitter, Weibo, that's like their whole thing over there, their social media, it disappeared. Like not too long after the allegations were posted, it disappeared. And according to reports, China has full control over their internet access over there. So they can. She may not have deleted it, but the officials and the government can definitely delete it if
I
they
think it
see
was
fit.
only up for, wasn't it up for like less than like 12 hours or something like that?
Oh yeah, it's definitely less than 12 hours. I wouldn't be surprised. I couldn't remember officially how long it was up there, but
Yeah.
I want to say it was less than even 5 hours, if anything, from what I could see so far. Like as soon as it seemed like from what I read, as soon as it went up, it was taken off. And then searches on Weibo for Ms. Peng, Gao Li, and that incident were all blocked by the Chinese government. That right
It
there
does,
is
by the
enough.
way, it doesn't even matter because people in America, as long as people in America can see it, screenshot, save forever on the internet. You can't get rid of it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and there have been screenshots. I saw reports say that even the accounts that tried to share those screenshots were also suspended. But it's like you said. I mean, once they reach over here, it's too late because shit, our shit
But
ain't
it
as
doesn't even have to
sensitive.
just once other people can see it around the world, and there's probably people who are fans, like dedicated fans of this woman, internationally.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Dedicated fans. And once they see that, they're like, oh hell no. They're already on it. There's already people who are on it, like when it comes to a lot of this internet stuff and information. Like people know how important information is. And once the information goes out, it's gold. People take it, save it, store it. It's coming back later because they're gonna use it against you. That's why the government knows the power of information. Because if it wasn't an issue, they wouldn't delete it. But they know the power of information, so that's why they try to do what they do. So.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, just look at how quick they were to get rid of it. That in and of itself tells you that there might have been something there. Because if there was nothing there and it was baseless, they would have just been like, I mean, we're gonna keep it up there because what she's saying ain't true.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's got to be at least a hint of truth for them to take it down, because leaving it up will bring them into investigation by somebody, or they'll have to investigate said official, because it's like, oh well, your tennis player over here representing your country is saying that she was sexually assaulted by one of your high-ranking officials. What you gonna do about this?
Yeah.
And so they thought they got it down fast enough to where nobody was gonna notice and nobody was gonna, be able to say anything. But unlucky for them, but lucky for us, there were people who were able to get screenshots. There were people who were able to report what was said. And now look, it became like a big thing for a little bit, especially if you follow sports. Then you definitely heard about this story. And so, basically what I said is just the gist of it. She reported the allegations, and then not too long after, she essentially went missing or disappeared. People couldn't get in contact with her, nothing of the sort. I mean, and since then, let's just say there have been other reports of her posting things on social media, but there's a bit of a caveat to that, in that we don't know if it's essentially her posting it.
I want to run something by that's on my mind, right? It's not so much her case in particular, it's the tactics that China kind of uses when it comes to dealing with like social media or just the media period and how they do things. You know what I'm saying? Obviously they're trying to save face. We're just about everything they do whenever something comes out and it's them looking bad. But some of the things they do is like rudimentary, you know what I'm saying? Or like real basic tactics. Like with this thing, like this happens, and instead of coming out with like a post to counter it, they just take it off, right?
Right.
And then they do things like they try to like put up pictures, and I don't know if you got there yet. I don't think you got there yet, but
not yet.
Well, when we get there, it'll also be another show of evidence. Like they try to put up pictures, like, oh look, she's okay, she's right here. They try to prop her up and put her in front of the camera in like the weirdest situations, and try to be like, oh look, she's okay. And it's the government posting this. It's not like we're uncovering it ourselves. It's like they're trying to gaslight us and are trying to get us in our head and like make us think a certain kind of way. It's like they're always using that same tactic. No, it's like think this way. It's like the propaganda is so obvious. It's not even in they're not doing it in a slick way. It's so obvious, and it's so just like it's like disrespectful.
They're definitely not America.
Huh?
They're definitely not America in their use of propaganda.
Yeah, at least America is like slick with it, right?
At least America tries to finesse you with the propaganda. Their propaganda is more or less just, nah, we said it ain't true, so it ain't true. Like, nah. Yeah. But we saw the nah.
Nope. Like,
they stick their fingers in the air, just like nah, nah.
Like, no, I can't see it. Nope, sorry, kid. It's like.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas America will probably just play Jedi mind tricks with you. Like, are you sure you saw that post?
Exactly. All right, so you seen this part of it, but what about that person's history? Hey, yeah, exactly. I'm not saying look at this. I'm not saying don't look at this. But what about this right here? You gotta
sure.
I feel like it's some old like politician or old government official that goes to some dude on the computer. He's like, get rid of that. And the dude's like, okay. It's like, all right, it's gone.
100%.
Like, he's like, oh, yes, good job. He's like, yeah. He's like, he's probably like, so it's gone forever? He's like, yes, it's gone forever. Anybody who somehow finds it, it's fake.
They still going to try to get rid of it.
And what are you going to tell? Like what are you going to tell this man? You're not going to tell him you didn't get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't tell him no. Yeah. And you can't tell him I can't really get rid of it because he's gonna think you're lying. And he's gonna be like, off with his head. I don't care. Off with his head. Yeah, so we don't do that anymore. I don't care. Off with his head.
Yeah, exactly. Beat this man in the tower square until he figures out how to get rid of this shit. Oh, I just figured it out.
Like, did I say I can't do it? It's like I can't.
What happened to? He's like, what happened to the last person? Oh yeah, I can get rid of it. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. First post you see since she went missing. First, it's in English, which is kind of weird, and two, it was found by I want to say it was a state spokesman. A spokesman for the state said they found this on their I want to say Weibo or WeChat or something like. It's either Weibo or WeChat, but either way, it just said something about first and foremost, it starts off weird. It's like it starts with hey everyone, this is Ms. Peng, not Ms. That's put that in brackets. Is Shuai Peng. That's how it starts. And then it goes on into some other details about how she was okay, and that she is not actually under surveillance, things of that nature.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
you're not. Okay, cool.
Right. And then there's also and then there was another incident where I want to say again all the posts that we find after she goes reportedly missing are more often than not found by either the PR department of the Chinese government or some type of state-run television.
How convenient.
Those are all the people who find these things. So that in and of itself right there is just a red flag. Big red flag, because you don't really ever see anything that Ms. Peng herself posts. And even when you see these posts, like there have been posts of her going out to, there was one post where she went out to lunch with her coach, and the coach asked her, because this is back in November, he was like, is tomorrow November 21st? Or something along the lines of tomorrow's November 21st, right? And that's what he's asking Ms. Peng in the video. And I believe that he says it more than once, maybe like I want to say 3 times in that particular video. He says the date,
Which is
either November
sketchy as
20th,
fuck.
November 21st. It's sketchy as all hell, especially after everything that's surrounding her. And mind you, in this said video, she doesn't say a word. So he asks her the question, but she doesn't even say a word to, answer it. So that in and of itself right there is just, again, red flags. I want to say around December 19th, we're going to get to the part that you were talking about where she kind of like recants everything. She has a interview with a Chinese-based, I believe it was a broadcast or a news channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
you talking about the Singapore one?
Yeah, the one, they're like a Chinese-based Singapore.
It was a Singapore company that was controlled by or just
by Chinese government
in association with the Chinese government.
Yep, yeah.
Basically being like a puppet for the Chinese government. She's being told what to do by her company, and that company's being told what to do by the Chinese government. But they feel like there's enough distance between them for people not to see the connection. So they have her interview the woman, and not to cut you off, nothing like that. But with that interview, if you watch the video, I watched the video. The video starts off with it trying to be like an impromptu interview of this young woman, right? The tennis player. It starts off with literally Yao Ming walking out. I don't know how they got Yao Ming in it, but they got Yao Ming in it. Dude's walking out with his lady, with his agent or whatever, walks by. And then guess who pops up behind her? Miss Peng. She pops up right behind him and trying to make it look like what's the word? Spontaneous. They're trying to make it look spontaneous, but the whole video just like, what is this? Like, And
I mean, you can tell bad acting.
That same sketchy manager, he was in that video with her. I think if we're talking about the same person, which I'm pretty sure we are. If you look in the background of that video behind her, you can see the manager there, like just kind of making sure everything's going like how it's supposed to go, or whatever. Like they were just asking her weird questions, like, "Oh, did you really get sexually assaulted?" Shit like that, like the weirdest fucking questions. Like you wouldn't ask somebody. She's like getting interrogated in a quote unquote interview, like asking her if she can move freely. Like what? No, that's not normal questions you ask an athlete on an impromptu like interview. You ask her, "Oh, what are you looking forward to about the game? Oh, how do you feel like you beat your opponent? Are you have any injuries? Oh, what do you think about the current state of female tennis?" Like you're not gonna ask her shit like what the fuck are you asking for those type of questions?
That wasn't even, and then even if a case like that happened in the States, using your example of Serena, if they were to ask her about the case, it definitely wouldn't be using language like that. Like, can you move around, or did this really happen? They would probably word it in a way where it's like, we just trying to get the truth out of you.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like, we just want to hear your side of the story. The Singaporean newspaper, the Chinese one that I was just telling you about, the latest one, because they claimed they met Miss Peng at a skiing event in Shanghai. in Shanghai, and then that's where they ended up having an interview. But in that interview, it seemed like because Miss Peng actually talks herself, so we know she's alive. We know that much.
Yep. Yep.
But she said, but she basically, like you said, recants everything she said previously. She recants ever saying that she was sexual. This word fucking me up right now. Sexually assaulted, and that she says that like you alluded to before, that she's free to go wherever she wants. Like she's not under any type of house arrest. Even the chairman of the WTA, the Women's Tennis Association, he even prior tried to reach out to her himself through numerous emails, phone calls, anything, things like that. And he says none of them, that she never got back to him. I mean, we don't really know just exactly how true that is, but still, that's, considering at the time that she was not anywhere to be found, it definitely, raises some suspicions. And then in the same interview I'm talking about with the Singaporean newspaper, Miss Payne does say that she reached out to him, but of course it's his, one is his word against hers, her word against his. I mean, their emails, one of them could show us proof of said email. They don't gotta show us the actual body of it, but they can just show us where, they at least tried to make some type of effort to get in contact with the other. So then, we can absolutely know who is telling the truth in this. But it does seem, this whole situation does seem weird. I mean, we really brought it up just to show not only how, we try to silence women, but also the tactics, like you said, that China is using to try to silence her, really. Because I mean, it's like I said before, if there's no validity to what she's saying, then you should be able to prove it, in a sense. It is, and it shouldn't be that big of a defensive thing, because the more defensive you are, the more guilty you look. That's just how society works.
And they go on. It's like they straight on defense. Like not even.
Yeah.
It's like if you weren't guilty before of how you move, you definitely seem guilty now because you're so quick to defend it. Like you're so quick, and it's like in the most aggressive, but like right. I don't know, and it's the most aggressively, like obviously saving face type of way. Like screams right. Like trying to save face. Like
it's like they control it. Because it's like they control everything. So it's just like, even if she was lying, you could probably still take her to court or have her be like, all right, if this did happen, prove to us that it happened. They don't. And, that's just going by how. That's how I would feel like they would do it, as opposed to like over here where it's just like, the burden of proof is now on the state, and you have now the accused have to prove that they didn't have sexually assault anybody. But it just seems like you said, they're so aggressive and defensive at the same time. Well, in their defense, they're so aggressive in their defense that it just comes off as guilty. Because the woman, like the first thing we see out of her after she supposedly goes missing, or reportedly goes missing, is that, she writes to us a translated documentation of her being safe, and that, she's free to go. And then, you see videos of her out and about with her coach, where he's just repeatedly asking her today, but she's not the one to answer him. And then her latest interview is her basically just recanting everything that she said about the sexual assault.
Who does that? Like who just, and like so willing to recant it? Like no, exactly. Like everything is like. So you didn't.
So was it a joke or what? Because then at that point we got to ask, okay, so was it a joke on your part, Ms. Payne? Yeah. Like, why would you say that if that's the case? Like, we have the screenshots. You said it. Yeah, we know you said it. Exactly. So why would you say that if it wasn't the case? That's a very serious, thing. It's a serious allegation to levy against somebody that they sexually assaulted you. Like, that's not.
What was your motivation to even go into that realm? Like, why would you step into that type of place?
Exactly. So if you're going to recant on it, it has bigger, consequences on you, Ms. Payne, as a person who made the initial, allegations. Because now we gotta have to look at you, because you said it first, saying that he sexually assaulted you. All right, now we're here. So you can't just recant on that so willy-nilly and be like, it's crazy talk. I never said such things. But we know you said these things.
And I'll take it a step further. Not only are you looking crazy, and people now are gonna question why you did it, but also say it comes out that this man really did do this down the line to someone else. You let a rapist just go off. You know deep down inside your heart what this man is in the most intimate, disgusting way possible. You know what this man is at his core. You know, stripped all the way down. You know what this man is, that he's a piece of shit to his core. And you're gonna let him walk free? You're gonna let him just go off into do it, free to do it again? That shit just drives me crazy. Like, if you were going through hell, you said you were crying into that horrible experience that you went through. You know, and it's a terrible thing to happen to somebody. Absolutely, it's torture. To me, I consider that torture. Why would you let this man
psychological torture?
Huh?
And it's definitely physical and psychological torture.
It's torture. No matter how you say it, like, sexual assault is a version of torture in my mind. In my mind, it's a version of torture. So when that shit happens, you gonna let somebody who tortures people, tortures women, do this shit again? No, you gotta end this man where he starts. I don't care what the government says. I don't care what kind of games they playing. You don't let motherfuckers like that free, no matter, like, a rule of human nature. Sir, supersedes all that shit. All this whole game of civilization we play, it goes down the toilet when you're talking about crimes against humanity. All right, when you're talking about sexual assault and shit, to me, that's one of those cardinal, or like I said, it's torture. Torturing human beings is a crime against life itself. So you gotta put country, state, nation, ideology, fucking everything off to the side and deal with that first. Deal with that, because you can't raise other human beings with a fucking goddamn lecher, pervert piece of shit motherfucker with power controlling motherfuckers. You can't do that. All right? If it's consensual, fine. That's fine. I'm not going to go any deeper on that. But you said it wasn't, and motherfuckers take that serious. You may not consider it serious, but there's people out here in the world that don't play them games. They're not going to play this fucking yellow media propaganda game that you want to play. That if you don't want to stand up for yourself for what happened, that's cool. That's fine. There's a whole bunch of other women that ain't trying to get assaulted. So you can play them games. I'm disappointed I'm actually, you know what? I'm not even going to go down on victim or try to blame victims or anything like that. But if that's the route you're going to take, just know that you're making the battle that much harder. But believe me, the side of justice is going to come out the end. So whether you with it or not, side of justice is going to come out. And you just kind of making it harder for that time to come. You know, that's all you're doing. But the time will come, and that man will fall, and people will look at you and ask why. It won't be whether or not, you know, you're on our side or you're on that side. When the moment came for you to actually, like, stand up, you didn't deliver. You know what I'm saying? And hey, that's on you. That's on you. So play these games if you want to, be a hypocrite if you want to, or say you did this and say you did that and talk about pressure from the government. Or I don't understand. You're right. I'm not from China. I don't know. I don't understand. But you have people reaching out to you to help you. I know there's people reaching out to you. You don't need to. I know you're from this country. I know your family's there. I got you. Make the decisions you need to, but know that the choice you make is going to affect way more people than you probably could ever imagine.
It's not even perfect over here in how we handle, you know, sexual assault and things like that. So I'm sure it's going to be even a lot worse in the country where the government runs everything pretty much. So it's just like, if she does recant on everything she says, I'm not going to say I will applaud it, but I understand, because I'm sure they have coerced this woman into recanting on everything she said. Like, everything from the moment she posted what she posted until the very last interview that we saw, or, you know, that we know of, it had to have been at least a month or two. That's more than enough time for them to torture her in any other way they want, to And it doesn't really even got to be physical torture. It could just be psychological torture. Hey, you say one word, we're gonna kill your
Calling
family
her
type
up,
shit.
leaving her notes,
Yeah, exactly.
like
All that
following
shit.
her, having officials probably come to her gym or something, let her know,
Right.
hey, dude, why you better watch what you're saying. That's all we gotta tell you. Her family probably getting calls from government officials like, hey,
Calls,
tell your
death threats.
sister or daughter or cousin, hey, watch what she's saying.
Or instead of trying to lock her up and try to torture her, they could probably go after one of her family members. Because I mean, her family's not really in the limelight like she is, so they can always snatch up one of them
Yeah.
and just use them as a proxy and be like, hey, you say one wrong word, that's gonna be your aunt, that's gonna be your cousin. So
You bring
they can
dishonor
always
to
do
your
stuff.
family, shit. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I don't agree with it, but I understand if she did recant on everything she said, just because again, that's just us using our imaginations, but that's using our imaginations based on what we know and how we've seen not only how she has moved since the allegations first surfaced in that tweet, but just how also the government has moved since then as well. It's just they've been moving very sketchy, and then she hasn't really said much since then. So I mean, all those things just make it seem like they may not have her under a house arrest. Essentially, she claims she can go wherever she wants. Okay, cool. We can only take her at her word. But I mean, we haven't really seen her post nothing. Like she was able to post that first allegation so easy, right? But it's
yeah,
like everything since then has been always the government saw it first.
yeah,
So now it just seems very weird. It's like, oh, before she was able to post the allegation so easy with no with like we didn't need a government official to tell us
yeah.
what
It's like
was
it's
said.
getting filtered through. Like everything she posts,
Exactly.
government eyes see it first, then it goes out.
Exactly. So it just seems sketchy. It just seems sketchy. So even with the last thing she said, like honestly, I do not believe her in the last part, in the last one.
Mm.
Like I honestly believe she was sexually assaulted. Because like I said, that's just something you in a communist controlled country. Why in the world would you say that on
Just to fuck
a
around,
class
like that's not something
exactly like it's like
nobody would just say that. Like,
exactly. That's why I just can't. It's hard for me to believe that it didn't happen because this is the running theme, or at least one of the running themes. Sexual assault allegations is a very serious crime, very serious, and to even post something like that about a government official on a government-run website, come on, what? Like, unless she's stupid, why would she do that? That just doesn't make no sense. So that's why I say, like, I gotta believe the initial one because why would you do that in the
yeah,
first place? Ms. Peng's initial reports that she said she was sexually assaulted, but then recanting later on. And that just brings me to the other main thesis of, this whole thing is just government corruption. She levied these allegations against a high ranking official in the Communist Party. And, from there, they have done everything that looks like they were trying to silence her. You know, if she was really as free as they claim her to be, they would have reinstated all her accounts. She would have been able to post as freely as she wanted to, and then we would have been fine. It would have been like, oh, okay, you know, we can she's free to do whatever she wants, as she said she is. She's not being silenced, but everything that has come out since her initial reports has been a bit sketchy. It's been just things that just did not make sense. So having these two things, not only sexual assault but government corruption, is just this whole story has just been a whole wild ride. And it's just something we're gonna have to keep a lookout as the story progresses and to see just exactly what happens to Ms. Peng and the Mr. Gao Li, the high-ranking official that she accused.
word. I hope she gets justice. I know there's pressure on her. Realistically, I don't need to guess. If I'm being 100% real, I know there's pressure on her. I hope she gets justice. Stay strong. Don't let this assaulter, this rapist, whoever he is, bring him to justice. I don't look. Look. I'm not one of these dudes that be saying believe all women and not like that. But in this case, from what I'm seeing, how people were moving, it seems like she's telling the truth. It seems like this motherfucker was on some shit like that. I believe her. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know how we doing. We're here to entertain, here to inform. You know, we're here to do all that. This has been Inside the Pocket. Boy DIV, Tucson Screwface. You know? And other than that, we out. We out.
We out.
There we go.